From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordo, and this is your News 8 Daily for Monday, September 15th. It was a nice weekend, and it's going to be another warm day ahead. Starting out in the 60s, going to get up to the upper 80s, could even reach 90s in some places.
Spencer Schrader. It's good, and the Colts have won.
The Colts are 2-0 on the strength of a stirring comeback and a silly penalty. Spencer Schrader's 45-yarder as time expired was his fifth field goal of the game, and it only happened because of an oops from a Denver defender. Let's rewind 3 seconds. When Schrader shoved a 60-yarder wide right and the Colts appeared to lose, but the refs called a leverage penalty on the Broncos. Honestly, I didn't know what this was. I had to go back and look and talk to my husband about it. My colleague Scott Sander explains it's essentially a linebacker shoved a Colts lineman down to lift himself up. You cannot do that. That led to the second chance that Schrader nailed. News 8's Andrew Chernoff has reactions from the team after the Week 2 win.
When Spencer Schrader's game-winning field goal split those uprights, this place went absolutely crazy. And what else would you expect? The Colts are 2-0 for the first time since 2009. This victory, a lot harder earned than that Week 1 win over the Dolphins. But when they needed to, the offense, defense, and special teams units all stepped up in a big way for Indy.
To win a game like that, Spence did a hell of a job, obviously finishing it there with the kick. Like I said, we want to be in great physical shape coming into this season and create an edge and win games in fourth quarter. And we found a way to do it.
When you get hugged like that after you make a kick and the whole team's running up to you, you just feel so happy that you brought that much joy to the entire team, to the organization, to the fans. It's really a blessing.
It does a lot for our confidence, for sure. I think we've had that, internally as a group. I think we felt throughout training camp, through last week and beginning of the season, we felt like we're a good offense, can play with anybody, and we gotta keep building on it.
Man, this team's got grit, and I'll just tell you straight up, man, this team believes in each other. They love each other, and I think it shows up in the toughest moments. When you're able to lean on your brother and you dig a little deeper to make the play, I think that stands tall.
No matter how the game's going, guys just dig deep and trust one another to do our jobs, and we found a way to win. It's not going to be pretty every time. You're going to have some ugly ones, but as long as you come up with a dub, that's all that matters.
What does it mean to just be 2-0 already to start this season?
Yeah, I've never been 2-0 here, so it's incredible, and wins lead to more wins, so now we got to go make it 3-0.
With Sunday's win, the Colts are now atop the AFC South, but next week arguably the biggest game so far for Indy as it takes on its first divisional opponent of the year, the Tennessee Titans, down in Nashville. Inside Lucas Oil Stadium, I'm Andrew Chernoff, Wish TV and WishTV.com.
The week starts with several new elements in the killing of Charlie Kirk, including calls of firings from some and where the investigation stands. We start locally at IU. Kirk was scheduled to visit the school next month. Instead, as News 8 government reporter Garrett Berquist reports, students held a vigil.
Some 300 people packed into Alumni Hall here on the IU campus. They tell me the way Charlie Kirk expressed his views mattered as much as what his views were. Kirk's supporters say they're still processing his death.
I have honestly had trouble sleeping. It's still not real.
McGoldrick had just bought tickets to Kirk's IU campus event planned for October.
One thing he changed was the political discord in this country. You have so many conversations that can't be done peacefully. He changed it. He invited people to be polite and respectful. And so for me, he was just someone who changed the course of politics.
Some told me Kirk's impact was more personal.
I went through a really hard time in my life where I lost God, and I felt very far away from him. I was angry. I just wasn't the kind of person I wanted to be, and just hearing him be so proud of who he is and so proud of everything and faith really helped me get a closer relationship to God. I went to church for the first time in a while today.
Kirk's death has spurred calls for all sides to relearn how to disagree peacefully. Senator Todd Young echoed those calls in his remarks to the crowd.
Resolve to do what Charlie Kirk did, which is to take a chance and expose yourself to all sorts of questions about your own views and listen to others who don't share your perspective. Maybe you'll learn something along the way.
McGoldrick says he hopes to live by Kirk's example going forward.
Promoting all the things he did for people, and just promoting that it's okay to have a different opinion without being angry and upset with the other side. And we can actually talk peacefully, even if we disagree. I'm going to try to promote that the best I can.
Walk away.
And vigils continue across the country. Kirk's memorial is scheduled for this coming Sunday in Arizona. On the IU Bloomington campus, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Charlie Kirk's accused killer is not cooperating, but friends and family are. That's the assessment from Utah's governor about Tyler Robinson. Governor Spencer Cox says he expects more information to come out in a court of appearance tomorrow.
No, not again. He has not confessed to authorities. He is not cooperating. But all the people around him are cooperating, and I think that's very important.
Robinson is in jail without bail. Kirk's killing is prompting some prominent Republicans to call for punishment for people who disparage Kirk or celebrate his death. The push has already led to firings of pilots, government workers, at least one television commentator, and more. Indiana's Attorney General Todd Rokita is calling for people to report teachers or school administrators who, in Rokita's words, make comments that celebrate or rationalize the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Rokita said on social media they have no place teaching our students. President Trump said in an interview over the weekend that he could not care less about calming political divides and declined to condemn right-wing violence. Former South Bend mayor and current Democratic Party stalwart Pete Buttigieg says Trump should tone down his rhetoric.
We're not getting the leadership that we need to bring this country together from the White House. The response to this cannot be for the government to crack down on individuals or groups, not because of violence, but because they challenge the government politically.
Buttigieg is due in Indiana later this week. Tonight, you can get a snapshot of the future on the city's busiest interstates. INDOT is hosting a public event about the Propel Indy plan. The goal is to modernize I-65 and I-70 with the 465 loop. News 8's Malia Van Ostren is on the story and tells us what we can expect out of tonight's meeting.
Well, we can expect a conversation with the people conducting the study. INDOT wants the public to weigh in on their opinion of the draft concerning economic development, mobility, quality of life, and equity. For the last 2 years, INDOT has gathered feedback from people, commuters, and businesses about how to improve the city's inner loop. That input has helped shape the results of a recently released report that looks at aging bridges and roadways, congestion and safety issues, and the lack of reliable connections for people walking, biking, or taking public transit. The study, called the Alternatives Identification and Screening Report, narrowed down dozens of ideas into draft alternatives, like reworking outdated interchanges and ramp upgrades, addressing crash hotspots, and creating new ways to connect neighborhoods across interstates while improving safety and quality of life and reducing environmental impacts. Tonight's meeting is from 5 to 7 at the International District Community Center on Commercial Drive, and public comments on the report will be accepted through October 5th. In studio, I'm Malia Van Ostran for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Here's Jane King now with your business headlines.
Indianapolis-based seed and pesticide maker Corteva is considering breaking up, according to the Wall Street Journal. So the Journal reports that the company, which was once part of Dow DuPont, could finalize a plan soon. Its share price has climbed nearly 150% since it was spun off, and that includes 25% just this year. So Corteva's signature seed brand, Pioneer, one of the most recognized names to Indiana farmers. Well, harvest is underway in the Midwest, and the recent World Agriculture Supply and Demand report shows record corn production in the U.S. this year, and the soybean crop among the largest ever. Grain prices rallied, though, even on that bigger than expected crop, because some think dry weather in August will eventually bring the crop down a bit. Well, the U.S. Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, widely expected to cut interest rates this week. The cut would make credit cards and car loans cheaper almost immediately. Now, the Fed's two-day meeting starts tomorrow. It concludes then on Wednesday afternoon with that policy decision. And levels of iron in the brain could be a warning sign of future Alzheimer's disease, according to a new study. Now, researchers at Johns Hopkins University found a special MRI technique called quantitative susceptibility mapping can measure levels of brain iron. And high levels of iron have been shown to increase brain toxins and trigger neurodegeneration, resulting in cognitive decline, especially when they interact with abnormal amyloid and tau proteins that are the hallmark pathologies of Alzheimer's. Well, the NASDAQ had 5 up days last week, and the S&P 500 had its best week since early August on anticipation of that Federal Reserve rate cut midweek this week. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
TikTok users across America are waiting this morning to see if President Trump will again push back a ban on the platform. Amy Kiley reports on talks ahead of the Wednesday deadline.
They're negotiating TikTok right now.
The U.S. could ban TikTok from American app stores Wednesday. That's unless a non-Chinese company acquires it. President Donald Trump says officials from the U.S. and China are trying to reach an agreement for such a sale.
We may let it die, or we may, I don't know, it depends, up to China. It doesn't matter too much.
The ban stems from bipartisan legislation former President Joe Biden signed into law last year. It prevents TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, from maintaining ownership of the app. The law cites concerns over national security and data privacy.
A bipartisan majority in Congress wanted to see this TikTok app either sold, divested, or banned. And yet here it is still online.
The reason TikTok is still available in the U.S. is that Trump has delayed enforcing the ban 3 times. He could use an executive order to try and do so again.
His critics say it's one of the most egregious abuses of presidential power, basically claiming that he has the ability to nullify laws.
Trump credits TikTok with helping him win last year's election. He says he wants to reach a deal to keep it available to Americans.
I'd like to do it for the kids. They like it.
So he's recognizing the incredible popularity of TikTok, but he does seem somewhat agnostic about the future.
I'm Amy Conley for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Season is on the line for the Indiana Fever after a loss in the first game of the team's playoff series with Atlanta. Kelsey Mitchell led the Fever with 27 points. Fever never led in the second half, and the Dream won going away, 80-68. Game 2 is home tomorrow night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It's winner stay home. Contest tips off at 7:30. IU and Notre Dame are going in the opposite directions in the college football polls. The Hoosiers hop up into the top 20 at number 19 after an in-state drubbing of Indiana State. IU plays top 10 team Illinois this week. Irish are free-falling, but they stay in the top 25 by a fingernail. Their close loss to Texas A&M leaves them at number 24. It's the first time since 1988 that any team has stayed in the top 25 after losing their first 2 games. Notre Dame plays Purdue Saturday. The killing of Charlie Kirk has political violence squarely in the national spotlight. 2 key voices from our All-Indiana politics team joined Wish TV this morning. Dana Black is the former deputy chair of engagement for the Indiana Democratic Party. Whitley Yates is the director of diversity and engagement for the Indiana Republican Party.
In the aftermath, our Attorney General, Todd Rokita, has said that anybody who knows of a teacher who, for instance, is either celebrating or rationalizing Kirk's death should be turned in. Is that a step that we want to take in terms of a community and a state?
I don't think we should be celebrating death ever. And when you're thinking about something tragic happening to someone, your initial reaction, whether you disagreed with their stance or their political position, should never be to celebrate the death of someone. So I can understand why someone would be appalled and honestly disgusted with people celebrating the death. At the same token, a lot of these people are potentially teachers that have the duty to impart wisdom and to impart leadership on our youth. And so I think the impetus for him to say, if these are the types of ideologues, if these are the types of behaviors that you're bestowing, it may not be safe for you to be in our schools if you're pushing death as some type of declarative and exciting thing.
So your contention is that maybe a protective measure for the teachers?
Right. No, the students.
Oh, well, you said it. I misunderstood you then, because I thought you were saying it may not be safe for you to be in school teaching these things.
The teachers in school celebrating death and destruction in America.
That is preposterous. First of all, Attorney Todd Rokita literally went on television and disparaged a doctor for saving a young person's life. So now you're saying that if you disagree with what we're saying, we're going to go after your First Amendment rights to say what you want to say on your social media. This is literally fascism. We are going to stop you from saying exactly what you feel, the way you feel it. Charlie Kirk said a lot of things that hurt a lot of communities. I am sorry he is gone, but he literally suggested that my life as an African-American gay woman is up for debate. He hurt so many young people, and I imagine there are a lot of teachers that had to deal with the fallout of the conversations from Charlie Kirk and a lot of the nastiness that he said about differing communities.
Is there daylight between you should not say this and we, the government, will get into this if you say this?
The First Amendment prevents the government from telling you what you can and you cannot say. Now, either we are down with the Constitution or we're not.
This isn't about the Constitution.
It's not?
Because it's not that they can't say what it is that they want to say, but there's repercussions for things that you say.
There's consequences for saying things that are disparaging.
Absolutely. There are consequences, specifically when you work in the private sector and you work in schools and you work around children. So say what you want to say. However, do not run scared when the consequences of what you say have repercussions.
Absolutely, and that's what happened to Charlie Kirk, unfortunately.
So you're doing exactly what people...
Listen, because I have a First Amendment right to say...
So you are a prime example of what we shouldn't be doing in America.
And you literally said one gunshot victim is worth our Second Amendment rights. Well, he unfortunately is now that one gunshot victim that was... Nobody wants to see anybody hurt or shot, but you can't keep telling people that this person is evil, or if I have a black pilot, then I'm wondering if they're qualified, or transgender people are a problem in the world, and say all of these things and not expect consequences. I'm not saying he should have got shot. I hate that he got shot. I hate that we still live in a society where we have more guns than we actually have humans, and people don't have the discernment to say, I disagree with this guy, but I'm not going to harm him. But that's not where we are. We have too many people with too many guns that are ready to shoot people.
Whitley, I want to give you the last word. Is there, again, daylight between the Second Amendment enforcing something and just allowing people to say things that universally everybody may agree is wrong?
Yeah, I do think that there is daylight in between those things. I think that people are going to say whatever it is that they feel.
Should they be pulled out of jobs for saying things that are unpopular?
I think if they say things that make their job look bad and put them in a bad light and cause them to be into conflict, then that should be expected on every job, in every industry.
Whitley, Dana, thank you both very much.
You, of course, can hear more and watch All Indiana Politics Sunday at 9:30 a.m. This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at WishTV.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.